I dreamed a nightmare, an Eskimo ghost story. There was an Eskimo man once whose wife died suddenly. He was very upset. He buried her beside the igloo under a pile of stones. Then he lay back down in his bedskins to sleep his sadness away. But he woke up in the middle of the night, sadder than ever. He knew he had to leave this place of such sad memories, so he packed a few things, went outside, stowed them in his kayak, and he was about to paddle off into the darkness when his young son crawled out from the igloo, wondering where he was going, and who was that strange man lying inside, beside his mother. Curious, Kiviak crawled back into the igloo, and sure enough there was his wife lying in the bedskins beside a stranger. He was furious and beat them both to death with a whalebone. He dragged them outside and buried them together under big rock. Now his sadness had turned to bitterness. In spite of his young son's pleas for him to stay, he climbed back into the kayak and paddled away, never looking back. He paddled all the night, into the next morning, till there was no sign of land. His kayak was attacked by sea lice, stripped it half bare to its bones. A whirlpool all but sucked him under. He fought desperately to escape the vortex, but no sooner was he saved from that, a claw troll rose up from the waves, trying to scratch his eyes out. He beat off the claw troll with his paddle, only to find himself in the path of two converging icebergs. He had to paddle furiously to escape. But by now he was so weary and despondent, he simply gave up hope, closed his eyes, and accepted his fate. When he opened his eyes, he realized his kayak had drifted onto some unfamiliar shore. Faint with hunger, he staggered inland in search of food. A young woman was gathering berries. She invited him back to a log house. She lived there with her old mother, a wrinkled creature whose breasts hung down almost to her knees. She offered him a big bowl of berries stewed in seal fat. He assumed it was seal fat. But when he thanked her for this delicious meal, the old woman insisted it was the fat from a delicious young man. She laughed, her daughter laughed, so Kiviak laughed. Then he asked if he might lie down and take a nap before he journeyed on, but he only pretended to sleep, so he could eavesdrop on the two women. "I think we should kill him now," said the old woman. But the young woman insisted they should wait because she wanted to make love with him first. Her mother agreed to this, but only on condition she could get the first nibble on his cheeks, for cheeks are the real delicacy on a mature man. Her daughter should be quite happy with his lower parts, especially if he turned out to be a good lover. On hearing this, Kiviak sprang to his feet and ran out the door. He ran and he ran till he could run no more. Back towards his kayak at the shore, he came across an igloo, so familiar it made him pause. Curious, he crawled inside the igloo. There was a baby in there, apparently all alone, a baby with an enormously bloated belly. All around it, bones, scattered bones, animal bones, human bones, and the baby gazed at Kiviak, a gleam in its deep brown eyes, a smile from ear to ear as it started to rub its tummy. Yum, yum. Kiviak didn't wait to find out what might happen next. He scrambled back outside and ran as if his life depended on it, back to his kayak, still there on the beach, gnawed with holes. But Kiviak, convinced he would sooner drown than be eaten dead or alive, he would be safer in the whirlpool, so he paddled furiously out of sight of land. An eagle swooped down, tried to grab him. He smashed in the eagle's head with his paddle. It burst open, and Kiviak was covered in blood. Then the ghosts of all the poor souls were drowned, and these waters began rising up into the kayak, including the ghosts of his wife and her lover, who sat either side of him, complaining there wasn't enough room for them all, and you shouldn't have killed me, Kiviak. You were my husband. But you were already dead, insisted Kiviak. To kill somebody who is already dead, that must be the unkindest cut of all. Kiviak paddled on for what seemed like an eternity all the time, these ghosts threatening to capsize his kayak. It was growing dark, and there was a mist rising up from the waters. Then out from the mist he could see a whole fleet of kayaks coming towards him, dragging behind them a huge whale, on the head of which stood a figure, all but in silhouette, brandishing a harpoon as if urging the flotilla onwards, a young, handsome man. As the armada swept past, Kiviak recognized his son. He knew it was his son, and he cried out, "My son, it is me, Kiviak, your father." But the young harpooner paid him no mind, though Kiviak swore he could hear him whisper, "My father is dead. He died many years ago, murdered by a stranger in the middle of the night as he lay in his bedskins. You are just a crazy old man in a kayak full of ghosts." Kiviak had stopped paddling. The flotilla vanished away, off into the mist. The old man buried his head in his arms and wept as the silence enveloped everything around him, and his kayak sank deeper and deeper and deeper beneath the waves, all alone with his ghosts, all drowning alongside him.